You're listening to Lighthouse Conversations, brought to you by Lighthouse Haven, a spiritual home for your awakening soul. Lighthouse Conversations is a show where awakening souls gather to be inspired, connected, and enlightened. Spiritual spark plug and host Chelly Canales, that's me, will guide you through the twists and turns of your journey to a safe haven where you are finally free to live your best light. Each episode contains a conversation with a guest who has gone through a spiritual awakening, detailing their unique and life-changing experiences in an intimate and candid way. Although everyone's experience is as unique as they are, we all share one common thread. We're all seeking something. So, come join us on this journey and be prepared to leave with resources that will supercharge you into inspired action. Here's today's episode. Hello, awakening souls. How are you doing? I've got to be honest, I am exhausted. My heart is weary from picking up on the sense of people hurting out there. There are people physically hurting, mentally hurting, emotionally hurting. These are not easy times. You know, we are almost 2 months in here to this isolation. And we're not meant to be isolated. You know, we're creatures that thrive on human connection, and we will get there again. For now, I want to pledge to you that no matter how hard it is, I care about you. I care about your family. I care about the people who are on the front lines, taking care of people who are sick and seeing trauma every single day. You all matter. You specifically listening, you matter. And, you know, I'm no different than anyone else. I would love to be on a patio with my friends right now, chatting, enjoying the sunshine. And I want to hug my parents, and I want to be able to walk around, you know, without a mask. But it's not for now. I see the bigger picture here, and it's not out of fear. It's out of love. I'm choosing love, and I choose love for you. I choose love for myself. I choose that our society can be better if we all just try a little harder for a little longer. It'll be here before we know it, I promise, and we will rejoice and have so much love for each other when we see each other in person again, and it's going to be beautiful. So just hold tight in this moment. Know that you're held, you're cared for. There are resources out there should you need them, and I'm so happy you're here listening today. I want to introduce you to a wonderful, wonderful person named Elyse Sundita. She is so in tune with her spirituality and bringing that into the body, like the embodiment of her spirituality, but it comes through a very interesting practice. I hadn't thought of it this way, but she uses knitting as a form of connecting with spirit and with others. So sitting and knitting is what we talk about among many other things. Her wisdom and her joy is just a delight. And I think you'll find some wonderful conversation and some comfort in this conversation. So enjoy today's episode. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Getting through it. I want to hear about how this pandemic, this new world, all of the shifts that happen have had like an impact on your life, on your spiritual practice, on your work. I mean, it's such a huge, I'm not going to say disruption, but it is kind of in our lives. But it provides opportunity as well as challenges. So I'm just really curious to hear from your perspective what you've been experiencing.
Yeah, so Friday the 13th, which didn't seem so ominous at the time, I was actually in a training with the Commons on Champa. I was going through the orientation to be a potential facilitator for the co-starters.
Which I did, which is such an incredible program, and you'd be perfect for.
And I was so excited. We were, it was a 2-day orientation, half a day on Thursday, a full day on Friday. And between those 2 days, I saw the shift. The Commons on Champa closed on Friday. And sister, it was really scary just being in that space without anyone, just not seeing anyone. I got water in the lounge area just to get myself out of the conference room that we were in and give myself a little walking distance. And It was eerie. It was eerie. It was a little bit scary, and feeling that uncertainty in the air. And yet the juxtaposition was being in this room where I knew half of the people really, really well, and just feeling incredibly blessed to know that this is my support system. As a solopreneur, you're constantly just by yourself, isolated. And to know that here I am in this room with such incredibly inspiring people, and just knowing, oh, we are here so we can inspire the next group of folks who want to put their destiny in their own hands and figure out what business they want to truly do, and what steps can we provide to get them to be as successful as they see it. And yeah, it was definitely this mindset. And so that Friday the 13th, I got home. I was exhausted after those 2 days of training. I was just like, whoa. It was pretty much what you went through in those 10 weeks. And just the 2 days of just like,
Yes, like fire hose in the mouth type thing.
yeah. And so I was just exhausted mentally, um, recognizing that everything around me was kind of closing down, schools were shutting, and even though I'm not in school, I thankfully graduated last year. I'm so thankful for that.
Yes, it's so
But
hard for people who are not able to have that ritual of graduating. I think about those sweet little high school seniors, college graduates. Yes, it's heartbreaking. So it's a very fortunate thing you were able to
yeah,
do that.
I know, and I recognize that I am such an empath, and so right now I am in my fourth week of quarantine. I have really isolated myself from the public. I'm taking what the CDC is saying straight to heart because I am one of those that have the underlying health conditions of asthma and severe asthma
Hmm.
like that. So I am literally just kind of going through the waves, and even recognizing that where where I was, right before all this happened, which was I was working part-time as a barista,
Mhm.
which was great. I had cash in hand, and as an
Yes.
entrepreneur, it's like, yeah, cash
Yes.
in my hand, love it. I had multiple avenues of income, which was beautiful. I was connecting with companies that were so aligned with what I am currently doing, and for it to all just kind of disrupt and flutter away has been this, it's almost been like this crashing of my dreams, but also, okay, well, what ashes and what fire will kind of come from this. So
That's beautiful.
uh,
Yes, yes, yes.
yeah,
That
but it's
visual really,
mhm.
it just makes my heart resonate because it's true. There's so much sadness of things, failed dreams. Things were not going to be. I, had my first national conference to MC at. I had a local conference. I had all of these things. I'm like, I'm on my way, and so that dream had to die. The show I was choreographing, these high school kids were so excited to be in this show, and we had to tell them, guess what? There's no show after they've been working for weeks at a time. Their little dreams and hearts were shattered, and they're not little, they're very big dreams and hearts. And so I love what you said about, so we have these ashes, we can choose how we react to what we do with that. And so what has been your journey through sifting through those ashes?
Yeah, I recognize that my mental health is being really challenged, especially being in isolation, and
Hmm.
to recognize that as our American society, which is constantly just go, 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 right now it's like Mother Nature is just yelling at us to just figure out what is so important right now. What is truly important? Let's all hunker down, let's bunker down together, and just let's really figure out like what is important to us. And so recognizing that I now have to, I'm shifting a lot of my messaging on my social media to be more of service. How can I help? How can I bring content out there that will bring a smile to people's faces? How do I bring my community aspect? And so through different conferencing apps, I've been able to bring my community together. And so through that, I've been every Saturday morning, I now host this craft intentions, which I
Amazing.
used to do once a month on Saturday. And I was like, yo, I need to see people.
They
I
need
don't,
you too.
yeah. So every Saturday morning, 9:30 to 10:30, anyone who contacts me through my social media, usually through my Instagram or Facebook, um, I host this like community event of just bring your craft, whatever it is. If you want to sing, sister, please, you come over
Yeah.
and sing for us while we knit. It's just this beautiful community of folks who just want to connect authentically for that 1 hour in that morning and then, do whatever you need to do the rest of the day. Friday afternoons, I've been hosting dance parties.
Virtual
I
dance
I
party.
literally I feel so silly doing it, and I'm just like, you know what? The more that I do it, someone out there is gonna be like, what is this woman doing? I don't know, but I'll dance with her.
Yes, dancing is something that anyone can do, and it just there's that whole feeling of like I'm just putting myself on the line for whatever, and you're putting yourself on line. Let's be vulnerable and just do it. And I think that's a beautiful way of connecting as well.
Yes,
And
yes,
I
totally.
know that a lot of your work in the past has been about like being like in your body, being like having knitting, for example, as a way to meditate. You have these incredible tools. Are you still able to incorporate those things as well into your online community? And actually tell us a little bit more about that because I don't know how many people out there like knitting and meditation. Well, tell me all about this. So give us
Yeah,
the rundown.
I love it. So my company, DiaW Nix, is incorporating my Filipina heritage, my love for knitting and community all together. Diwata actually comes from the Philippine culture, meaning goddess. So goddess
Love
knit.
it.
And it's all about awakening your power within. And I utilize knitting because for me, I really do need something tangible, something in my hands to just make my brain kind of turn off. And right now, I understand that there are so many meditation apps and they're lovely. I use them. Headspace is wonderful. However, for me, utilizing knitting and just sitting with myself, sitting with my feelings, takes me into this journey of what is isolation, what are the feelings going through me right now? Because it's not about, oh, I can't think about these feelings right now. I have to just bury them down. It's really about sitting and knitting with them. And I am actually in the process of getting my first online knitting course ready in the sense of it's a live course. So right now I'm not gonna video record myself. That will be in the future in the next few months. Right now, I just want to start connecting virtually with folks, get
Mm-hmm.
them to just start to knit with me through this medium because right now that's all I can do. And I mean, and my um, perspective into this knitting process is really getting into the body with it and understanding that we're not going to be perfect creatures as soon as we start this craft. Is it is very it's a hard craft to learn. Out of all of the crafts, I was like, really? I wonder why knitting was my thing, but it called to me, and for others, it might be their calling. And I hone in on the fact that this is a practice, a ritual practice that just is a beautiful thing. And in the end, you get an actual product. You get a washcloth, you get a
Yes.
scarf, you get a beanie, you get, just something that knowing that, okay, I just need to sit down, bunker down. What is this product that I get?
I love that. Yes, there's that tangible thing. It's also the component that keeps your brain busy, but you're also like knitting the thread of human contact. You're weaving the fabric of like this community, which is another level. I think this is the perfect time for your work to really shine because people are hungry for something like this. And you will have all the links and everything in the bio, so people can get a hold of you that way. I want to hear about your journey to getting to this point, because I imagine, this work you're doing now wasn't something when you were a kid you thought, this is what I'm going to do when I grow up. How did you get here?
Not at all. Really, the tipping point, at least into this journey of entrepreneurship and mindfulness, came around this wonderful year of 2017, when there was a shift in government leadership. And I was gifted knitting the winter prior, so in 2016. And I thought to myself, okay, I have this knitting that I was asking for. Here it is. Let's take a class and let's actually do this. And it opened up my world as to what another form of meditation was. And I literally came home from that class and something in me was awakened. It was just, I mean, I totally believe in reincarnation, and I knew, I thought I've done this before.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's why I transitioned my business to DiaW Nix, because as a Filipino culture, before the colonizations of the Spaniards, there was, the villagers, they connected with herbs, they connected with crafts, they had to weave in their clothing. Like knitting is and crochet is in every single culture around the world. It's not just for old white ladies. It's a whole thing. And recognizing that this was my calling, and it was something too where I literally was able to spend hours just sitting down and just getting lost in the thread, in the stitches. And it was beautiful because it wasn't something that I told myself, okay, I have to do this. It was more like, oh, when can I knit again?
Yes. That's the feeling we're looking for, right? It lights you up like a firecracker. Like, I could spend all of my energy on this. This is so fun, but I'm not going to run out of energy because I'm just enjoying it too much. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
What I love about you connecting, your spirituality today with the ancient way it was done, it's almost like full circle, because there's an in-between period in there where, like you said, with the colonization and whatnot, even in our recent generations, spirituality has been questioned. It's like, that's not what we do. This is not how God is. This is not, how we worship. Was it a difficult journey to come to the place where you were able to connect with yourself in that way and practice your spirituality that way?
Oh, most definitely. I grew up Catholic, and
Me too.
I think when I left my home in around 1819, this I a world of spirituality was kind of just being slowly put into my brain. And my mom, thankfully, she's always had such a beautiful influence in my eyes of, there are other cultures, there are other religions out there. Definitely always spearheading the whole Catholicism. She's definitely a practicing Catholic to this day. And I love her, and I don't love the actual religion. I respect for people whatever they need to wake up and to have their time with whoever they need to connect with. But for me, I felt as if there has to be something more tribal, something more primitive. And for me, it was almost as if, the herbs and the other, Eastern medicine, it was almost like that witchiness vibe.
Right.
That I got, that I was like, I honestly think that there's a witch within me, and everyone they just kind of tap into it. And for me, it was that push and pull between this Catholicism thinking and this very spiritual thinking, and recognizing that I am going towards this more spiritual,
Right.
and still respecting the fact that most of my family, all of my family really is very Catholic, and here I am.
Hey, doing my thing. Yeah.
And recognizing that I'm thankful that my family embraces me in whatever I do, because when I go to my brother's house in Oregon and I'm like, oh man, I gotta like burn some sage and Palo Santo, and they're just like, Elise, you just do you.
Do
Just
you?
do you. And I'm thankful because it's for me, it's like that's my release. That's how I'm able to spread my own joy and to also release that negative energy.
Yes. Oh, and I think so much of what you said resonates because when I was in church growing up, I went to be the perfect good girl, do all the things, but I always had this feeling stirring inside me, like I was like, this isn't right. This isn't right. For me, it wasn't right. I didn't belong there. There were, I mean, I could go into all the details of why, of the doctrine or I could go into a lot of things that just didn't work for me. But what the number one thing, the number one difference for me was trusting my own knowingness versus having to go through a male leader to get to God. So that's kind of where that shift happened. And all of the work I've been creating has been around that. It's like you can talk to God. You are your own best authority when it comes to knowing what's right and wrong. You have that ability to connect. And that's where things started to make sense to me again, because, people are fallible and people have their little fingers and agendas into every structure that exists in society. And so how can you trust that? Just because you're told to trust that? No, no. So I appreciate you sharing that because I feel like there's something, especially in our generation, that is rumbling among us that there's a consensus people are coming to on their own about that. But that's not to say people shouldn't have religion. I mean, everyone should have what resonates with them. And if that's the way they are able to find their connection to all that is, then that's wonderful. And I think it's wonderful that everyone can choose their own way.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah.
So have you always felt like since you were a kid that you had this knowingness about you, this like connection to the old ways and the herbs and nature and all of that, or did that unravel as you started to become your own, woman?
Yes, it definitely started as I got older, was able to leave home. I think that's a huge
Yes.
component of learning your own adultness.
Hmm.
It's so funny because my mom gifted me these oracle cards
Yes,
when
I
I was
love
like
that.
18, and I don't think she realized that that was this like journey of just figuring out like, oh, there's more than Catholicism. Like
Hmm.
she just, I think she intuitively knew that I'm like, I'm different. And so
Hmm.
recognizing that this isn't something scary, it's something that's pulling me, and really learning to listen to that intuition, which is a skill. It's
It
definitely
is.
so much of our society has been, don't think about like tuition, what's that? Like, that's not real, and recognizing like for me as a woman, that is my guide, and
Yes,
I
it is.
need to listen to it in order for me to just figure out what is right for me, because our bodies can actually come up with disease and illness when we don't listen to that
That's
type of.
how it manifests. Absolutely. There's a million ways that it's knocking on your door. Like, pay attention to me because you're not listening to me.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because I kind of joke, but I'm super serious at the same time that the world is having a spiritual awakening right now. A lot of people are having, the rug pulled out from under them, and didn't choose it, but suddenly there's all this introspection going on. Suddenly I have time to look inside and, oh my gosh, those are the weird, uncomfortable questions. Here they come. And I see a shift in the future, and I'm hoping with my work as well. And it seems like with your work too, it's about giving people the tools to manage what this all is and how to reconnect with that voice inside. Because if you think about it, if somebody doesn't want you to connect to your voice inside, what is that agenda about? They don't want you to trust yourself. They want you to trust them. And if you trust them, guess who has control over your situation, right? So I always think about if something's like always done this way, who benefits by it always being done that way? And does that resonate with me? So I think we're going to be seeing a lot more people asking the big questions. And I do see a really big shift happening in our culture and society. I'd like to know what your vision of all of this is when we kind of turn the corner and come around the other side of this pandemic.
Yeah, I'm wondering about that too, and I honestly think everyone, what's happening is I feel like we're going through a very traumatic phase.
Yeah.
And recognizing that, like, I mean, this device is literally our connective tool. What we're doing here is our connective
Right.
tool. And I'm almost scared of, if we get so used to this, what will real interaction look like?
Yeah.
What will it look like to go into a store where we don't have to wear masks? Because I honestly believe, after all of this is said and done, I think masks are going to be a big part of our lifestyle.
Yeah.
And the trauma of almost our freedom being taken so much away, and understanding that there are going to be people who won't understand what to do with those feelings, won't
Yeah.
understand how that what they're feeling is normal, is real, and that they do need some type of help, whatever help that is. But recognizing that we're all going through trauma, we're doing this all differently, but it's traumatic. And I'm scared that there's not going to be enough mental health awareness to this, because this is not normal what we're
No.
going through, and it's scary. And I know, for me, I'm reaching out to my therapist, to the people that I know that can help me, and recognize that my family can only do so much. Like, I need an actual therapist
Right.
to really figure this out. It's not just like, just talk to your support system, it's fine. I'm like, no,
It's
now's the
different.
time to really get the help that you need, wherever that is. And I am scared that folks won't. And so the trauma that will happen after the interactions, I think that's another something that I am worried about, because we're not going to be the same. We're going to look into big crowds and just probably say no. The conferences that you were planning on being part of, who knows if they'll ever have a conference more than 250 people. Like, even now, that's like, well, that's a lot. I don't even know if I feel comfortable.
No, I hear you.
You
Yeah.
know?
And it's interesting because one of the ones I was supposed to do had me do a webinar for them. And so that was about, and it's funny because it was about gathering. The industry is about gathering. And I really see it like as the future of humanity, because the way that that industry handles how we move forward is going to set the tone for how we gather in the future post pandemic. And I think people are going to be very hungry to gather again. But you're right, there will certainly be a population that will be scared, too scared to do it, and that's okay. And I, it should be honored that that's how they need to live for their own sense of well-being and security. But I also see on the positive side, instead of just having that phone in our hands as we gather, and we look at more at the phone than we do at the live act playing music, or the person we're having a conversation with, maybe people will remember to cherish each other's company again. And I can see more genuine interactions coming from that. I think the dating scene is being transformed, and people are seen as less disposable now, and it's like, I actually need to get to know you before I would ever see you, because we can't see each other right now. So there's some really good things. And I'm just seeing a vision as well of, you mentioned there not being mental health support. And I think things are going to be turned on their head when we realize how important these things truly are and how they've been so neglected in the past. And I'm hoping that more resources will go that way. And I think that it will, where we honor that is a part of humanity that is sorely, sorely under supported. And everybody needs this kind of help at some point in their life, maybe all of their lives. So the optimist in me is seeing that that's going to shift into our culture, and companies are going to prioritize it with their employees, with their customers, with each other, in the boardroom. And I'm excited to see where we turn in, how that goes. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I honestly, I agree with you in the sense of, once we're on the other side of this, our interactions as humans, as it won't feel so like, okay, well, I gotta go, bye. It'll feel so much more like, oh, let's just breathe in the same air for the
Yes.
moment. And, like, I'm so ready to, like, hug all
Yes.
of
Oh my
my
gosh.
people. Like,
Same. it's
Mhm.
painful not to have this. It hurts. And like you said, we're not used to being isolated from that. And there's a lot that can come from it. And what I'm hearing from you is like the time is becoming sacred again that we get to spend with each other, bringing ritual back into it in a way where we can honor the passing of time and, the accomplishments that we've had versus like, oh, it's just another thing. It's like actually giving it that sacred, grounded time with each other. And I think, ooh, that sounds wonderful, doesn't it?
So I see that as the other side of just recognizing that time really is short. We are busy, but I mean, look at where we are now. Time is, some days I'm like, what day is it?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even know. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, yeah, let's keep this, let's keep being safe so that way we can come out stronger.
Yes. Oh, that's really good. I was going to ask you if there's one thing you wanted to share to everybody before we told them how to reach you, but it sounds like you just did it.
Yeah,
So that's a
yeah,
beautiful
let's come out
message.
of this stronger. Let's first and foremost take care of ourselves. I think that's what I'm recognizing, when going through the airlines, whenever they're like, okay, when the masks come down, put it on yourself first. And that's, if we're not taking care of ourselves, I mean, the humanity will die in a
You're right.
sense.
Because you can't run on an empty tank and you can't be of service from an empty tank. I always talk about this favorite quote of mine from motivational speaker Lisa Nichols. And she says, people are going to need the love that you have to give, and you have to be able to serve them from your saucer, not from your cup. Right. So it's the overflow. It's like if you're not feeding yourself the things you need to be healthy, to be sane, to be well taken care of, to show up every day as not, oh hey, I got to give you everything I have so you're happy. No, it's like I love me, I take care of me, and I'm better able to love and take care of you by doing that. So I think that's another shift in perspective, and I'm hoping society gets on board with that too. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Um,
Okay, so tell everyone at home how they can get a hold of you, how they can learn about these online events that you're having if they're searching for the beautiful community that you have to offer.
Yes. So Instagram, my handle name is Diwata Knits. That's DiWataknits. And I'm also on Facebook by the same at Diwata Knits. Instagram is where I'm going to be putting all my links to my craft intentions. Every week I'm going to be doing a question and answer session that's just either about me, my business, or I bring in a local community maker. And yeah, I've just right now, it's all about trying to be of service to folks and trying to connect them through my knitting, through my community, and bringing hope. Because right now, we just need hope and a little bit of a smile.
Yep, you got it. You got it, sister. This is it. Hope is everything, and you're bringing it for sure. You're doing it. So thank you for sharing your time with us and for sharing the love and light that no doubt this community needs right now.
Thank you for having me on your podcast. I'm glad we were able to get
Oh,
this going.
me too. It's an honor, and I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for listening to Lighthouse Conversations. If this show resonates with you, it would mean so much to have you rate, review, and share. Don't forget to follow us at chellycanales.com and on social media.